I had never seen Shohei make that face before. What happened next made the moment even more unforgettable. Because after that brief exchange, Shohei Ohtani returned to the mound and started firing pitch after pitch over 100 miles per hour as if something inside him had completely switched gears. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, Shohei Ohtani earned his 8th win of the season after leading the Dodgers to a hard-fought 4-3 victory over the Minnesota Twins on the road. On paper, it looked like another impressive outing from baseball's biggest superstar. But behind that victory was a dramatic moment that almost changed the entire game. It happened in the second inning. 1 out. Bases loaded. The stadium was tense as Ohtani prepared to deliver one of the biggest pitches of the night. Then he unleashed a blazing 101.7-mile-per-hour fastball. A pitch thrown with everything he had. But instead of ending the threat, disaster struck. His 25-year-old catcher, Dalton Rushing, appeared to misread the situation, and the ball got past him. The passed ball allowed the tying run to score, instantly erasing the Dodgers' advantage. The crowd erupted. The Twins had life again. And suddenly, all eyes turned toward the mound. Moments later, cameras captured something fans rarely see. As pitching coach Mark Prior and others gathered near the mound, Ohtani appeared to be speaking to Rushing with an unusually intense expression. Not shouting. Not losing control. But clearly frustrated. For a player known around the league for his calm demeanor and almost unbelievable composure, the sight was shocking. This wasn't the smiling Shohei fans were used to seeing. This was a competitor. And for a brief moment, the emotion showed. What happened next made the scene even more fascinating. Instead of unraveling, Ohtani elevated his game to another level. Fastball after fastball exploded out of his hand. 100 miles per hour. 101. Then another. And another. By the end of the night, he had thrown an incredible 16 pitches over the 100-mile-per-hour mark. Fans inside the stadium couldn't stop talking about it. Was he angry? Did that moment fire him up? How is he throwing even harder now? One spectator summed it up perfectly. It looked like he found another gear. And honestly, that's exactly what it felt like. The version of Ohtani that returned to the mound after that inning looked almost untouchable. Meanwhile, inside the dugout, another story was unfolding. Manager Dave Roberts pulled Rushing aside and spent an extended period talking with the young catcher. Shortly afterward, Freddie Freeman sat beside him as well, using gestures and encouragement to help rebuild his confidence. The Dodgers weren't going to let their young catcher carry the weight of the moment alone. Then came the third inning. This time Ohtani stepped into the batter's box. And when his team needed a response, he delivered. His clutch hit helped push the Dodgers back in front, turning the momentum once again. By the end of the night, Los Angeles walked away with a 4-3 victory. But perhaps the most revealing comments came after the game. Speaking to reporters, Rushing didn't try to avoid responsibility. Instead, he was brutally honest. I felt like I was bad from the first inning to the last. He paused. Honestly, it was embarrassing. Then he looked up and added something that caught everyone's attention. But he's a special pitcher. He helped us recover. Those words carried weight because they came from the player who had lived through the moment himself. As for Ohtani, his response was exactly what fans have come to expect. Simple. Measured. Team first. Maybe this will be a good experience for him moving forward. No criticism. No blame. Just support for his young teammate. Later that evening, Dodgers pitching coach Mark Prior spoke with reporters and provided a fascinating look into what happened from his perspective. Coach, that second inning looked intense from the outside. What exactly was happening out there? Prior smiled before answering. Honestly. For a second, I thought my heart stopped. The room laughed. But then his expression became serious. I've been around Shohei for a long time now. And I can tell you something. I had never seen that look on his face before. That statement immediately caught everyone's attention. According to Prior, Ohtani is usually the calmest player on the field regardless of the situation. He's quiet. He's composed. He's incredibly controlled. That's who Shohei is. Which is why the scene stood out so much. There he was on camera, talking to his catcher with a level of intensity I'd never seen before. At that moment, Prior believed he needed to get involved. So I immediately headed toward the mound with interpreter Ippei to make sure everything was okay. A reporter followed up. So it really was that unusual? Prior nodded. It was. But then he offered a different perspective. The more I thought about it, the more I realized something. I think Shohei's reaction was completely understandable.
Consider the situation. Bases loaded. 1 out. A 101.7 mile/hour fastball. The hardest pitch he'd thrown all season. And then a mistake.
Any ace pitcher in baseball would feel something in that moment, Pryor explained. That's not weakness. That's competitiveness. But what impressed Pryor wasn't the frustration. It was what happened afterward. Because once Ohtani stepped back onto the mound, he transformed that emotion into something extraordinary. Reporters asked him about the barrage of triple-digit fastballs that followed. Pryor shook his head and smiled. I've spent my entire life around baseball.
As a player. As a coach.
As someone who's watched thousands of games. Yet when Shohei put his cap back on and returned to the mound, I actually stood up in the dugout.
Why?
Because he could feel the difference immediately.
Something changed. Not physically. Mentally.
Most pitchers allow anger to control them. Ohtani did the opposite. He took that emotion and converted it into focus. Every ounce of frustration became fuel. Every ounce of pressure became precision. He wasn't throwing harder because he lost control. He was throwing harder while remaining completely in control. Pryor paused before making a bold statement. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen another pitcher do that at this level. The reporter then asked a simple question. What specifically changed?
Pryor leaned forward.
It wasn't just the velocity. The quality of every pitch changed. The sound of the ball hitting the catcher's glove was different.
The conviction was different.
The attack mentality was different. There was no hesitation anymore. He started challenging hitters directly. Throwing into dangerous locations. Attacking the strike zone. Trusting his stuff completely. And with every pitch, it became more obvious. What fans had witnessed wasn't a pitcher losing his composure. It was a superstar channeling emotion into dominance. And that's what made the moment so remarkable. Not that Shohei Ohtani got angry, but that he turned that anger into some of the best pitching of the night. Honestly, I thought Dalton Rushing's hand was going to break from catching those pitches. Mark Pryor laughed as he said it, but there was admiration behind the joke. Because what followed that difficult second inning was nothing short of extraordinary. Then came the third inning, Pryor continued. The first hitter was Byron Buxton, and Shohei struck him out.
Then another strikeout. And another.
3 consecutive strikeouts. As Pryor watched from the dugout, one thought kept running through his mind. Nobody was beating him that night. Not with the way he was throwing. Not with the way he was competing. Not with the way he had locked in mentally. The switch had completely flipped, Pryor explained. There was no hesitation left.
No distractions. No frustration. Only focus. Pure focus.
The kind athletes spend their entire careers chasing. He had entered a different place mentally. Pryor searched for the right words before laughing. If I had to compare it to something, maybe it's like that Ultra Instinct state from Dragon Ball. The room erupted in laughter. But everyone understood exactly what he meant. Shohei wasn't simply pitching well. He was operating at a level that seemed almost untouchable. As coaches, you can actually feel it when a player enters that zone, Pryor said. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, Pryor admitted that he wasn't the only one who noticed. At one point I found myself applauding without even realizing it. Several members of the coaching staff were doing the same thing. Because they knew they were watching something special. Looking back at the numbers only made the performance more impressive. Ohtani recorded 16 pitches over 100 miles per hour. His average velocity was among the highest of his season. And yet Pryor believes the radar gun doesn't tell the full story. That's what makes Shohei different. He leaned back and smiled. How many people on earth can play every day as a hitter and then go out there as a pitcher and produce numbers like that?
Very few. Maybe none.
I've been around baseball for decades.
As a player. As a coach.
As someone who's studied this game every day of my life. And honestly, Shohei exists on a different level. What impressed Pryor most wasn't the raw velocity. It was how controlled everything looked. Those 16 triple-digit fastballs weren't thrown recklessly. They weren't the result of adrenaline taking over. They were calculated.
Intentional. Precise.
There was a plan behind every pitch. That's the scary part. Because when elite intelligence combines with elite athletic ability, something extraordinary happens. The baseball IQ and the physical gifts were operating at their highest levels simultaneously. And that's what we saw that night. A reporter then asked an interesting question. When Ohtani returned to the dugout after that dominant stretch, did you notice anything different about him? Pryor immediately smiled.
Oh, absolutely.
And his answer surprised everyone. Because after one of the most dominant stretches of pitching all season, Ohtani wasn't talking about himself. He wasn't talking about velocity. He wasn't talking about strikeouts. He wasn't talking about the win. Instead, the very first thing he said caught Pryor completely off guard. He came up to me and said, "Pryor, I think I might have been too hard on rushing. Can you check on him for me?"
For a moment, the room fell silent.
Pryor shook his head. I couldn't believe it. Think about that for a second. Moments earlier, Ohtani had transformed frustration into dominance. He had overpowered hitters. He had regained control of the game. And yet the first thing on his mind wasn't himself.
It was his catcher.
How many people can do that?
Pryor asked.
How many people can take all of that emotion, channel it into performance, and then immediately worry about somebody else's feelings? That's what impressed him most. Not the velocity.
Not the strikeouts.
The empathy. The fact that he could still think about another person in that moment tells you everything you need to know about who Shohei is. According to Pryor, Ohtani's concern immediately prompted action. So I went straight to rushing. Manager Dave Roberts had already started moving in the same direction. The young catcher was clearly struggling. I had never seen him look that devastated before. And honestly, it wasn't difficult to understand why. Rushing was only 25 years old. He had just experienced one of the toughest moments of his young career. And he believed he had let down one of the biggest stars in baseball. Anyone would be shaken by that, Pryor explained. So Dave and I sat next to him. We put an arm around him.
And we talked. Not to criticize him.
Not to remind him of the mistake.
But to help him move forward.
Because dwelling on the past wasn't going to help the next inning. Soon afterward, Freddie Freeman joined the conversation as well. In typical Freeman fashion, he used animated gestures, stories, and encouragement to lighten the mood. Looking back on the entire sequence, Pryor believes it revealed something important about the Dodgers organization. It reminded me why this team is successful. When somebody struggles, teammates don't walk away. They move closer. Nobody gets left behind. If a player is hurting, someone reaches out. That's part of our culture. The conversation eventually shifted toward the criticism rushing received from some fans after the game. Pryor understood the reaction.
I get it.
Fans see the passed ball and immediately focus on the mistake. That's natural. But from a coaching perspective, the situation wasn't nearly as simple as it appeared. To be completely honest, there were factors working against him. One of the biggest factors?
Experience.
At that point in the season, Ohtani and rushing had worked together only a handful of times. Their chemistry was still developing. It's unfair to compare that relationship to what Shohei has built with Will Smith over years of experience. Building trust between a pitcher and catcher takes time. Hundreds of innings. Thousands of pitches.
Countless conversations.
That kind of connection doesn't happen overnight. Pryor explained that timing may have played a major role in the mistake. The communication sequence wasn't perfectly synchronized.
The pitch signal. The timing. The setup.
Everything happened incredibly fast. And when you're dealing with a 101.7 mile/hour fastball, even the smallest timing issue can become a huge problem. In fact, Pryor made a surprising admission. There's a chance the exact same thing could have happened to any catcher under those circumstances. That statement caught reporters' attention. Because it shifted the focus away from blame. The reality was that the situation